like, this is the end of the year. Perfect timing for, I want a new job. I know I want a new career for the new year because
Yep.
this is where I was in December.
What's up, everyone? I'm Trent. I'm joined by a very special guest today, Ashley. She's been a business development rep in tech sales for nearly a year now. And today we're going to talk how she got the job, a realistic day in the life, and much, much more. But first, we got to talk about how this conversation came about. Ashley
Mhm.
posted on LinkedIn yesterday saying, "My only Christmas gift is to have a chance to do an interview podcast with Trent." Here we are. Did you think this was going to happen so quickly?
No, to be honest, no. I was like, Trent has so much going on. He's not going to see this. And then everyone was commenting like, "Yeah, I hope your wish comes true." And then you responded, and I was like, "Oh my goodness."
I think my only wish for the New Year's is trying to get my lashes up like yours because you got the lashes strong, the hustle on. So we're ready to go today.
hmm
So I'm curious, before we get into your story, why did you want to speak here today?
Um, the main reason why I wanted to speak on this platform is because I am a coach for course careers, and a lot of people are struggling and they don't know the realistic or the reality of breaking into tech. So for me to reach, plethora of people and be able to, I guess, use my voice to help people, I figured talking to you, because a lot of people look up to you, this was the best way to do that.
Well, hopefully we can reach millions of people today.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think people are struggling with? What do you think people don't know about breaking into tech?
I think a lot of people don't realize that it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. So, even if you put in the applications, even if you do the follow up emails with the recruiters, you have to literally be patient. So, this process of breaking into tech helps you with patience. And with that being said, when you do, get an offer letter from a job or a company, it's going to help you with your prospecting and talking to clients as well, because just because you set a meeting as a BDR or SDR, you have to wait for that email response. You have to wait for them to pick up the phone. You might leave tons of voicemails, but that last call they might pick up. So you have to have resilience, patience, understand rejection. Like, there's a lot that comes along with becoming an SDR or a BDR. And like I said, I just want to try to help as many people as I can.
I want to talk about your story breaking into tech sales, but where I want to begin is what you do now. Now that you've been in the role for nearly a year, I'm curious, how has getting the job as a BDR changed your life?
I would say for the better. This opportunity has changed my life, my family. It helped create opportunities and open doors for me financially. Um, I think this was probably one of the best career choices I've ever made in 32 years. So, with that being said, having a degree in a different career field or background, such as medical, I'm coming from a medical background, I wasn't really thriving. I was literally just sitting in a pot and I was just going to work every day, just miserable. But with in tech sales as a BDR, SDR, I'm actually talking to multiple different people. I'm networking. I'm actually excited to go to work. I actually don't mind. I mean, I work from home, but I still connect with new people every day from my home. So, it just gave me a wide opening, like, realization that you could be successful from home, but you can also not have a bachelor's degree to do this job. You can literally start with course careers to get the understanding of how to get into the entry level. So by doing that, like I said, it opened up so many doors for me.
Working from home, what do you actually do day to day? Can you walk us through a day in the life of Ashley, the BDR?
Yeah. So I wake up.
Good.
Gotta do that. Gotta wake up. So I wake up and I just basically, do the basic wash face, brush teeth, stuff like that. I get my coffee. Again, my job is pretty laid back. My company is awesome. I start my day around 8:30. I may or may not have a morning meeting, But really, I just start prospecting in the morning, checking emails, seeing if I have any missed phone calls or voicemails from prospects from the other day or the night before. And then really, I'm just creating a new sales cadence of new prospects, and then I'm making phone calls. So 90% of my day is on the phone, because obviously they want you to have that call volume. And then the other 10% is just sending emails. So it's more, for me, it's work life balance. Like, I'm able to be home. I do have children. I'm able to be a mom, but I'm also able to have a career where I love to go to work. So I can't complain.
How many calls would you say you make on average a day?
So in my company, they want minimum 40, but we try to do at least 40 to 60 calls. And only because the more calls you do, the better chance that you have of reaching someone. Because everyone does not answer the phone. They might send you to voicemail, they might not answer. So your odds are better with the higher volume call. I've got, or I've set meetings via email as well. So some people
Hmm.
refer emails. They're like, hey, I got your call, but I'm super busy, but I would love to set a meeting with you via email. And then I'm like, okay, great. What is your earliest convenience? Like, what day are you available? What time are you available? So I can talk to the account executive, and you guys can meet and talk about quotes and details about the product.
And when you're doing these calls and the emails, you'd mentioned earlier you're setting up your sales cadence, otherwise
Mhm.
known as a sales sequence. Can you explain what that means to you?
So, sales cadence or the sales sequence is very important. It's like touch points. How many calls, how many emails are you going to actually do with this prospect? You don't want to overdo it with 10 calls and 15 emails. You kind of want to structure your sales cadence because it matters to the prospects. You want to actually acknowledge their time and their personal life. Some people are on maternity leave. They're not even in school, because I work in ed tech. So they're not even in school. They're not even in front of a computer. So they're enjoying their maternity leave. And then you have people who don't even work at the schools no more, because again, I'm in ed tech. So you're sending emails and calling into a school that person no longer works there. So I like to do more calls than emails, because I want to see if that person still works there first before I do all these other emails before that first call. So I might have like a 10 touch point sales cadence, depending on what product or service that I'm trying to sell or get them to go to the meeting for.
In your experience so far, what have been some of the most challenging parts about learning the ropes as a BDR?
I would say cold calling. It took me about 2.5 weeks to really understand how a cold call is supposed to be structured, because you never know what that person is going to say. So there's no script that you can have to prepare you. You just have to be quick on your feet. You have to be literally active listening, understanding what they're going through, ask them qualifying questions before you let them just try to get you off the phone. So, cold calling was definitely one of the challenges for sure. Coming from a medical billing background, I'm used to getting hung up on because I'm a medical biller. I'm calling because your bill is due. So they're like, no.
They don't want to
So
hear from you.
yeah, yeah. So they were like, the hospital's calling, we're not answering. So I'm used to the rejection part, but it was just that cold calling, that initial phone call, trying to get them to stay on the phone long enough for you to just give your pitch.
What have you learned about cold calling so far, in addition to asking the qualifying questions? What other tips can you offer to someone out there that either has never made a cold call or is trying to ramp up their cold call activity like you, making 40 to 60 calls a day?
Cold calling is very important. Cold call is that doorway to see if this is a good fit for them. You don't want to send emails to a dead end if they're not interested. You're just hoping for a response. That cold call, that initial first cold call, is basically like a introduction of who you are, what the company stands for, what product or services they can offer to help their pain points. Everyone has something going on, whether they like what they have or they're looking for something new. with that cold call, you find out, well, how can I help you? How can I help you better whatever situation you got going on? And if you just give them some time to talk, use your active listening skills, they will tell you exactly what they want. And you just have to be ready to say, hey, let's take this a step further. Let's book a meeting. Are you available Tuesday at 2 p.m.? My account executive can go into more details on how we can help you with your pain points, how we can make your situation better. So that way, whatever you got missing, like revenue, or maybe it's something that they're using like a CRM, whatever that you need, we can help you.
And you keep mentioning AE or account executive. Can you describe what your relationship looks like internally with your AE? My
Yeah.
understanding is you may set meetings and then you
Mhm.
bring on your AE to then run that sales cycle. But can you explain what that process looks like for you?
Yeah, so I do the prospecting, I find the new clientele, I build opportunities for the company. The account executive goes to the meetings, they present the product or service, and then they close the deals. I have a very close relationship with my account executives because it runs smoothly that way. I have access to their calendars to make sure I'm not scheduling a meeting if they're not even in office. So I try to have like that personal bond with them. I'm like, hey, like, what's your schedule looking like next week? Like, are you available? Are you taking any time off? Because there's a chance that I might schedule some meetings today and I don't want to conflict the calendar because that's the last thing you want to do is set a meeting, check the calendar, and they're not available. That's like the worst feeling ever. So it
You're
is.
gonna have to step up and run the meeting at that point.
Yeah, so it's like, oh my goodness, I have to call the prospect back and cancel. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
sometimes they're
yeah.
like, that's the only day I have available. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is
You're
not going
like,
to
I'm
work.
not gonna get
So,
my opportunities in this month.
exactly. So meeting that quota is definitely my top priority. I always like to do 100% or 120.
Can you
Um,
explain what your quota is and just the incentives that allow you to make commission checks and get paid?
Yeah, so with my company, it goes by meeting set and opportunities open. So if a meeting is set, depending on the month, it could be 20 meetings for that month. If you set 20 meetings, you meet 100% of your quota. Plus, if you set opportunities, they add on addition pay for that as well. So you can set 20 meetings and have no opportunities open. You still get the opportunity to get the commission, but it just won't be as much, like the max payout. But if you do opportunities and the meetings, you get the max payout. And the reason, or I guess like the cheat code behind that is qualifying that prospect before the meeting. So you know an opportunity is going to be created. So then you don't have to worry about trying to see why opportunity wasn't created at the end of the month and then you're scrambling, like reaching back out, doing follow up, trying to meet your quota because you want that max payout. So I try to qualify a prospect before the meeting so that way I know guarantee the opportunity is going to be open.
Dang, 20 meetings set a month. That's a lot.
Yeah.
You're working. You're going to have to hit the phones to do that. Can you describe what an opportunity is just for those people who may not know?
Yeah, so an opportunity is when a account executive meets with the prospect and the prospect likes your service or product and they talk quotes. So, how much the service or product is going to be. They send an invoice out. The opportunity is created. Once the invoice is paid, and then the opportunity is closed. So, for me, my role is to do opportunities open. So they don't really worry about the closing part because again that might take a few months, that might take 6 months or so. Sometimes it can be closed within a few weeks, but mainly they focus on open opportunities.
Yeah.
So opportunities generate revenue for the company, which is all obviously what they love. So they love to see BDRs and SDRs create those meetings and generate those opportunities because it means revenue for the company.
Now you're talking my language. I like this. We got to get the sales numbers, the revenue
Mm-hmm.
up. Can you talk about what's been the most satisfying or fulfilling aspect to your job thus far?
Um, I think just knowing that I was able to make a pivot. Um, never had sales experience, did not know that I was going to love sales. I have a team of 10 BDRs and I'm literally top two. I'm like the second place in sales right now. And I did not know that this would be something that I'm like, I can do this. Like, this is something I want to actually stick with. Um, Other than that, I'm helping people. I'm coming from the medical field anyway, so I'm around doctors and physicians, so I'm still helping people just in a different way. So people talking about their pain points. Again, I'm in ed tech. We're talking children, reading, science, math. I love to help, especially when it comes to the kids. So giving them that high curriculum books and digital platform assets, that helps me because I'm like, you know what? I just helped this school get, some great books for the summer. Or I know that I helped this school because they were lacking funding, but we found a grant for them. So I know that they're able to reach the state requirements next year because we gave them some math curriculum that meets standards. So at the end of the day, it's helping people. And that's what makes me love this job.
How do you deal with the competition element being on a team dashboard, 10 other BDRs? They're probably tracking your daily inputs, all your calls, all your emails, all your meetings, all your opportunities. And it sounds like that excites you, the idea of performing and maximizing your potential. But I know, at least for me, it's an adjustment when you're on this dashboard and they say, hey, you're you're first, you're last, you're in between. It's very clear where you stand. It's not like a secret. It's, hey, this is your performance and you're responsible for that. So how do you deal with that?
I really try not to look at it as a competition. I kind of look at it, that's the only best way you can do. I learn from my mistakes. So if I'm like, this phone call didn't go well, how can I change the next phone call? Or where did I go wrong? Or at what point did they seem not interested? So with our team, we kind of work together. I don't think any of us are in competition with each other. Some people may not or gatekeep some information. They're like, hey, I'm not going to tell you how I got this meeting. You're like, okay. But I just like to be open and honest. So if I find that a certain territory has a grant, I'll let them know, like, hey, this territory has a grant. You should call. Because again, we all have different territories. So, it's kind of like we're a team anyway, but as long as I do my part and as long as I know at the end of the day, I contribute my daily responsibilities, that's like the main goal for me. It's just to make sure that I'm hitting my call volumes, I'm setting meetings, and I'm creating opportunities.
Yeah, that's all you can really control. But once you start talking about that grant money, I'm going after that grant money. So
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
we may be competing for that. I want me some of that grant money. But so let's talk about breaking into tech sales, since that's how you opened our conversation. That a lot of people get it wrong. They don't have the patience, or maybe realize that it takes the same sales skills they'll use in the job to get the sales job. If if you were coaching me and I'm off the street, I'm rough. I have no experience, no degree, and I'm trying to find my way. Let's say I'm just leaving high school, thinking about, they're telling me to go to community college, but I don't know what I want to do. So what steps should I follow to find my way in this wild world?
Yeah, the first thing is just find out what skills do you have. A lot of people don't understand that entry level tech sales, it's really just skills. What can you bring to the table? What can you show a company that you can, like, how you can help them? So, first is just knowing your skill set. What are you good at? What skills have you mastered at your previous work or, companies that you have worked for? So, I just like to kind of break down who you are, what do you want, because this is a space where you get to choose what do you want, what type of tech do you want to break into, do you want to work from home, hybrid, on site, salary wise, this is a time where you put you first. And a lot of people don't understand that, tech sales is different than the regular 9 to 5. The interview process is different. Your resume has to be appealing, certain skill set has to be highlighted. And a lot of people don't put themselves at a high standard. It's like, I can't do it. I don't have any sales skills. I'm like, I don't either, but I'm here and I love it. So just giving them that hope positive energy, and just, yeah, like just figuring out like what are you good at, like what are your skills. So I think skill set is priority, because I think that's what's going to get you through the door and obviously make you stand out, against the other candidates.
What skills do you think I need to demonstrate to a potential employer? Let's say I have some experience washing dishes, or maybe working in a restaurant, maybe even in a retail job selling shoes. How do I take that skill set and then demonstrate that I could be a good fit to the employer?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're coming from restaurants or a retail store, you still have customer relations. You're talking to people, you're speaking with people. So, customer service, customer satisfaction. We all know retail. I'm pretty sure they have a monthly quota that they have to, reach to sell something. What was that monthly quota? How much did you sell? Try to figure out those metrics. Coming from a restaurant background, were you a manager? Did you have relationship building? Did you have a good relationship with your team, coworkers, or your boss? So it's really mainly just sitting down and evaluating your experiences. A lot of people don't think about the little things like verbal and written communication. You have to write down orders. Do you get them correct? Or do you go to the back of the diner and get it all wrong? So it's just the little things that people don't think about. They think about, sales, and it's just like, I don't have any sales experience. I don't even know how to do this and that. And it's just like, it's the little things. It's literally the soft skills that you need to be highlighting. So, yeah, that's pretty
And
much it.
fortunately for people that are looking to acquire new skills that could help them make more money, programs like Course Careers exist. And of course, you sought out Course Careers. And can you talk about why you decided to go through Course Careers and how that ultimately prepared you with the skills to land your job that you have today?
Yeah, so I started Course Careers back in December 2022, and I was just thinking to myself like, I do not want to go into the new year with the same job, not liking my job, just work depression. I was like, I need to change it, something up. Somehow YouTube popped up and Course Careers was number 1 on the Google, and I'm like, okay, let me just click on this. So it says Course Careers, and it was, it had someone talking about how they were making like 36,000 to 80,000. I'm like, okay, that's a big jump. I'm like, so what is Course Careers? What do they teach you? How do I get into this? And then I started to do some background and from digging, watching more videos, and then I was just like, okay, I need to take a leap of faith and just pray that this works for me, because I wasn't sure. So as I did Course Careers, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is all a different language to me. I was like, I don't even know sales, tech, all that. I was like, this is new. But then I was like, if you want different, you have to apply pressure. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. Did the course about 2.5 weeks. I passed the final, and then from that 2.5 weeks, it took me about 30 days to break into tech. So interviewing, resume building, mastering how to interview, because again, it's different in tech sales. The interviews are completely different, rounds of interviews. So I had to master how to, you know, um, showcase my skills, which I've never had to do that before. And normally you just show a resume, they read it, ask you a few questions, and they're like, okay, see you Monday. You're like, oh, okay. But tech is different. That's why it comes with that patience, because you have rounds of interviews, different people, different levels of people in the company that you have to meet. So it is a little bit of, nerve bending. I was nervous to meet VP of sales of a company because I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is new for me. But I knew I had the capability. And Course Careers gave me that push to say, hey, we're going to give you enough to get to the door. But when you get into the interview, this is all you. Take what you learn, apply it. And that's exactly what I did. So I stand behind Course Careers 110%.
Let's talk about getting to the door. So you complete Course Careers, and then you say about 30 days later, you end up landing a job. What process did you follow? how many companies did you apply to? How many interviews did you do? Can you just talk about, once you completed course careers, how you then got the job?
Yeah, so after I completed course careers, I didn't know how to tailor my resume. My resume was like medical billing, medical billing, medical billing. It was like I kept getting rejection letters. So I'm like, what? I went to course careers. Like, what's going on here? I did not know that you have to literally showcase a different set of skills that match the actual position you're applying for. And I wasn't. So then I had to start all over, redo my resume. Then I started to get some action. Recruiters started to reach out to me. I did my LinkedIn profile. I was getting messages via, DM on LinkedIn. And then I'm like, okay, now it's picking up. Then it started to get super busy because I had round ones and round twos in the same week. I was literally trying to do interviews in the car because I had a part-time job at the time. So it was a lot going on. But I will say that no matter what company that you interview for, you always have to do your discovery on that company. I learned the hard way. I didn't do the discovery. I didn't know the company's mission or vision. And I was like, they asked that question. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't even know. Like, what's their vision?
Exposed.
Yeah. And I was like, I bombed interviews. It happens. I'm human. And then I sat down. I'm like, okay, Ashley, you have about, 17 days left. Like, you need to buckle up. I started digging, finding out the CEO, founders, connecting with recruiters, reaching out to other people that worked at the company that I wanted to apply for and ask them questions, use them as a referral. Then I was starting to slide into doors, like, just a little bit easier because I was like, oh, I know this person. And they're like, oh, Tom. Okay, yeah, let's see, send me your resume. And I'm like, yes, it was one time where I had 17 interviews in a week and a half. That was the craziest time ever in my life because I was like calling my mom, hey, Ma, can you watch the kids? I have 2 interviews today. And then she's like, oh my goodness, I'm just going to move in until you get a job at this point. Because every day you have an interview. I'm like, I want this opportunity. I have to go for it. So it was, again, it was a lot, but it was worth it. Every day was worth it.
It sounded like you had a really strong why behind your actions and driving you, and you said a lot of urgency behind it as well. Can you talk about how people can find that why and continue to channel that belief in a better future to fuel the actions today to get past the adversity and the bombed interviews and the rejections and all that hardship?
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing for me was, what's your goal? What do you want out of this process? I wanted a new job. Another thing was, I wanted to create stability for my family. So my family, my children, it pushed me a little bit more because I said, this is going to open up a door for me to where I don't have to worry about inflation, the rent going up, car note, insurance. Like, this is going to give me the opportunity to where I can live stress free. So that is what pushed me. But again, it still took a lot of energy though, because I felt like no matter what round of interviews I had, I was still like dishing out energy. And it was like exhausting too, because I'm like, okay, after this, I have to go be a mom, you know? So I really had to put my big girl hat on, put my boots on, and I was like, I have to literally get through this. And I pushed through. It was, some companies that I wanted to work for, but the work culture didn't match what I was looking for. I was looking for a company that had work life balance, that kind of understand, like, hey, I have a life outside of work. I have kids, a company that had a limited PTO, didn't know that existed. So I was just finding more and more gems as I started to figure out what I was looking for. So I put me first, family, obviously, and responsibilities. And then once I kind of understood what I wanted and, putting my wants and needs first, I was like able to stay focused.
And now you've made it on the other side. You're a success story, and I'm sure it's a different kind of stress nowadays, but at least there's more upside,
Yeah,
which is
right.
always fun. And now you're a coach at Course Careers, and this is something I don't think many people know about, is part of Course Careers, of course, you have all of the information to learn the skills you're talking about in the process to land the job and get up to the door to get the interview, but also the coaches and just being able to provide people with one-on-one support, hands-on guidance. And I'm sure people are watching right now saying, man, it'd be cool to speak with Ashley. And I'm sure they'll
Mm-hmm.
reach out to you on LinkedIn, but I know you offer free training and one-on-one training within Course Careers for people that want to learn from you and tap into what you're doing. Can you just talk about what you hear in these coaching calls? Like, what are maybe some common struggles people are facing or questions they come to you with, and how you work through that?
Yeah, so right now, I think the main or pain point I've been hearing is being ghosted by recruiters. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe there's some layoffs, but I just been told like, "Hey, I reached out, they responded, and then they didn't say anything after that." Or they had a phone screening and then they didn't get any response back. So I think a lot of people are just like, "Hey, if I wasn't a good fit, still send me something, whether it's a
Hmm.
rejection letter or whether it's I'm moving forward to the next round." It does make people a little anxious because they sit there and they wait for that. Like, okay, well, I know I did great, but I didn't hear back. So my thing is, I always tell them, don't put all your eggs in the same basket. If someone didn't respond, go to the next company. Go, do another application. Try to get in touch with someone else at a different company. And hopefully, in that time where your mind's not focused on that one response from that one recruiter, you're already getting other interviews lined up in the meantime. That's kind of the main thing that I've been hearing. Um, Everyone's been joining a course. They said that it is very enjoyable. Obviously, you are the instructor on there. So they're like, Trent's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? Like, I'm trying to do a podcast with him on it, get on there and talk to him. So you come up a few times. But other than that, like, that's the main thing I've been hearing. Question wise, it's just being prepared for interviews. But again, I tell them, I can't go with you to the interview. So it's all on you. Everything that we practice and talk about, mock cold calling, interview, mock role play, you have to take that and actually apply it to the actual interview with the hiring, person or the recruiter. And I think people get nervous. I think people get nervous and they forget that confidence. So it's just building confidence. I try to do that as well, build confidence, speak that positivity back to them, give them that energy, let them know like, hey, I can do it, you can do it. So yeah, I mean, but I love the coaching. I like going through the study sessions that I have. A lot of people enjoy it as well. So I've been in a good space with you guys. So
Final question. What's next for you? What are you most excited about moving forward in the next few months?
um well, people ask me like, do you want to become an account executive? I get asked that
Mm.
all the time, like all the time. And I'm like, it sounds good because obviously they have different responsibilities. They get paid more, obviously, but they travel. That's the only thing about, in my company at least, they travel. So right now it's like I can't do the traveling. So the SDR role fits better in my lifestyle right now. But I do want to master the SDR role. I want to be
Mm.
able to say, I can do this in my sleep. I can do this with my eyes closed. I can set 30 meetings because I know how to cold call. I know how to personalize emails. I know how to get someone from saying a yes to a no, or a no to a yes, just handle rejection without any fear of not having them show up to the meeting because they didn't want to go anyway. So I'm just trying to master where I'm at now. So then that way, if I ever need to revert or go back, I know that I can do this job hands down. But account executive, it does sound nice, but yeah, again, I have a 3-year-old, so I can't really travel that much.
Well, I think that's a great mentality, and I believe things will work out for you. And so long as you have that skill set, I'm sure you, worst case, could always find an AE role that's fully remote. So it always
Yeah.
tends to work out for the best. And it's exciting that you're a coach offering course career students access to yourself and the ability to tap into your knowledge and experience. So fortunately, anyone that's listening right now, we have linked the free course down below, and they can learn more about tech sales, the SDR, BDR world, if it's right for them, and how to actually get started. So we will see you guys on the other side. Feel free to reach out to Ashley on LinkedIn. Go connect with her. Go connect with me. And wishing you all the best in your career. Let's make it happen. All right. Yeah. Good job, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm glad we did it. It was cool to see your post, and yeah, it was very timely. I think this was meant to be. So there's got to be
Yeah.
someone out there that's going to listen to it, and they're going to say, that's exactly what I needed.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of wanted to do that too, because I'm like, this is the end of the year, perfect timing for I want a new job. I know I want a new career for the new year because
Yep.
this is where I was in December. I was thinking
Oh,
that
yeah.
thought, like, I need a new job for the new year, and people their course career, the actual web page is on the computer. They just like hesitant. They're like, something has to get me to actually do it. So the more people have real results or talk about it and have like, you know, personal experiences will actually get more people to sign up because they're not looking for marketing advertisements. They're looking for real scenarios, like real people going through this.
Yeah,
So
real results.
yeah, like, what's my reality? Like, if I do this, what is the real reality? And I like to keep it real. I'm like, hey, it is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. But if you put your mind to it, you can do anything.